Hey, everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast with Marley Bird. I'm your host, Marley Bird. You can catch the Yarn Thing podcast live every Tuesday. Oh, I almost said Thursday because it used to be every Tuesday and Thursday, but it's just Tuesdays. Every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. That's 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock in the Midwest. If you are anywhere else in the world and would like to join us live for the podcast, please Google what time 10 o'clock Mountain Time is for you and come and join the fun. Now, something you can do instead of having to go through all the trouble of Google, just subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Hit that little bell button. You'll be notified whenever I go live, and Bob's your uncle. So it's just really super simple. Let's say thank you to the sponsors of the Yarn Thing podcast. Thank you to Creative Bug, Craftsy.com, Buffalo Wool Company, Erin Lane Bags, Stitches.events, where we will be attending Stitches SoCal at the start of November. So make sure you check that out. And last but certainly not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson. Also, it's the home of Chic Sheep Yarn. So you can learn more about my sponsors by visiting marleybird.com, clicking on the podcast menu at the top of the page, and you'll get a direct link to each one of the sponsors. Go by, say hello, and tell them thank you for sponsoring your favorite podcast. I would appreciate it. So we are back after a holiday weekend. I actually had a relaxing time this weekend. I usually don't take time off on the weekends. I use it as like kind of catch up a little bit. I'm just like, nobody else is working. I'm going to work extra. And this weekend, I actually took it off and had a really nice, relaxing time. But now I'm back in it and just got all this stuff to do, starting with today's podcast with one of my favorite designers and one of my favorite people that I've recently met. And when I found out she was coming on the podcast, I was thrilled because I want to learn more about her. I'm talking about Pam from Sincerely Pam, and she is just fascinating. Her designs are beautiful. Her aesthetic is spot on. Just everything about her. So I just want to learn more about her, and I'm sure a lot of you do too, because she has many followers, and many of you probably have heard bits and pieces, but we're going to hear the full story today. So hopefully you have your crochet hook or your knitting needles and some coffee or soda or whatever it may be, and sit back, relax, and let's just have a good time. And let's welcome Pam to the Yarn Thing podcast. Hello. Did it freeze on me? There you are.
You're back.
Okay. I was like, oh no. Could you imagine? I could just see your face. What happened? Welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast, where we have awesome technical difficulties. It's fantastic. So, hey, where are you calling in from today?
Hi, I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario in Canada. So I'm on the Canada-US border.
Okay. It's very cool. Very cool. So I know that there are many people. The chat room is hopping already. Like it's been zooming across as I've been talking along. Yeah. So they're very excited that you're here. And I know that I'm very excited that you're here. So is this the first podcast you've done?
First ever.
First ever?
First ever.
All right, cool. I'm excited. I'm honored to be the first ever. It's really exciting. A lot of people saying hi from Canada, from Alberta, Canada. Lots of people just excited to hear about today's podcast. So that's just really cool.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So Pam, before we jump in and talk a lot about your story and such, why don't we let's tell people what your website is and whatnot. So that way, if they wanted to like click around and look at things while they're talking, they could do that just to make sure that that's out there for them.
Sure. My website is sincerelypam.com.
Pretty easy, guys. Pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
All right, Pam. So let's get down to it. So this is very much like a first date. So it's like we're saying, hey, how are you? Cool. So we've introduced each other, and
yes.
Do you come here often? No, this is my first time. Great. I do a lot of these first dates. But tell me about yourself. You obviously are a crocheter. When did you learn to crochet, and when did it become Sincerely Pam instead of just Pam?
Well, actually, Sincerely Pam happened before I even began to crochet.
Cool.
So I learned how to crochet when my son was about 5 or 6 months old, and he just turned 7. We had moved from Alberta, Canada, and we came here to a town where we didn't know anybody, and I was on my maternity leave. So my husband said, you really need to get a hobby. And I was knitting at the time. I'm not very good at it.
Mhm.
at all. It just never really clicked. So I can knit and I can purl.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know how to join a circle. I can barely bind off. It's bad. But I started just making cowls, knit cowls in my spare time. And instead of bombarding my personal Facebook page, I started the Sincerely Pam Facebook page. And I was posting all my knitwear, if you can call it that, there. So any family that wanted to just kind of, see that side of my life, they would go there. And my mom picked the name Sincerely Pam. So it's kind of like every item I made was a love letter, and the finished product was my signing
Oh,
off.
that's sweet.
And that's how it started. And then I started crocheting because the knitting was not going well. And it was something that it really clicked. It just, once I figured out why I was getting triangles instead of squares, because
Yep.
I didn't realize anyway, it snowballed. And so within a year I was designing, and I published 40 patterns in my first year. So I
Wow.
didn't know how to slow down. And it's continuing to snowball. So I can't keep up. I think a lot of us can relate to that, where
Right.
the ideas just, they keep coming faster than we can produce. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who taught you how to crochet, or did you teach
I
yourself?
did.
You did.
I tried on YouTube first, and I found everything was going really quickly.
Mhm.
And so I bought a book. I think it was called Crocheting for Dummies.
Uh-huh.
And just seeing them, watching the actual, or looking at the pictures really helped. And then I could see where the hook was going. I found out that you're supposed to single crochet in the first stitch, that the chain one wasn't counting. That's why I was getting that triangle.
Yeah.
And then it just, once I figured out all crochet really is made up of the same couple of stitches, it just, yeah, it just
That's
went
so
from
cool.
there.
I'm impressed that you could learn from a book. Like, even I edited the fourth edition of Knitting for Dummies, and even me reading through the Knitting for Dummies, I'm like, gosh, I don't know if people can read. Like, I don't. I'd have a little trouble here. So I'm impressed that you were able to do that.
Well, I'm definitely a visual learner, so being able to study the photos really, really helped.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here you are. You're doing all these designs. You're just kicking butt. How did you I think one of the biggest struggles a lot of new designers have is, how do you write a design? Like, how do you write the pattern? Because there's a standard way, and then
Mhm.
there's people kind of hodgepodge things together. Like, I mean, and I'm not referencing how you do it at all. Like, I'm just, in
Right,
general, like that's typically how
right.
people struggle. How did you find writing patterns for you?
I think my first patterns were very similar to that, just like a hodgepodge. I used the Craft Yarn Council, their standards, and I think it was just about finding my voice and what that kind of sounded like in a pattern. My testers, oh, I love the group of women who helped me out, and when I was first starting out, I had a lot of designers who were testing for me as well. So they were really great in, giving me a lot of guidance and making sure that, everything did make sense and work out. And I still think faster than I can write. And a lot of times as I'm typing out my patterns, they're not making sense because my mind has already gone on to the next step. And so it's really great having those people there, just to, I can't talk enough about having your patterns tested and tech edited properly. I
Yeah.
think, for me personally, I would never, I can't release a pattern without doing that, just because I know how my brain works.
Right, right.
And I need people to understand what I'm thinking.
I
So
totally understand. I mess
yeah.
up on simple math, and
Hmm.
so I need help with that.
Yeah.
What about, where do you land in the land of, that sounded funny. What's your opinion on like crochet diagrams and such? Like, do they help you out? Do you have them made with your patterns? Do you not? Like, tell me about that.
A few of my patterns do have diagrams in them. My friend Crystal at Crystallized Designs, she's the tech savvy one. I don't know much about computers. So she's been very helpful, and she's put a few diagrams in my patterns. I love reading them and using them.
Uh-huh.
I just can't figure out the programming to do them myself.
Yeah. I usually pay the tech editor to do them. And so because I'm just like, I
Yeah.
will draw them out myself on graph papers, but it's a hot mess. Like it's nothing I don't want to put in a pattern. So I'm just like, can you fix this, make it pretty? It's so much better.
Yes.
I think that is great that you learned that early on as far as the testers and the tech editors, because that can be an expense that a lot of people don't realize is a necessary one when you first start designing, especially if there's many of us who have gone the path of whether we're going to sell it or give it away for free or
Right.
whatever it may be. Like there's an upfront cost there to doing that. And so some people think, oh, I can skimp on that. But to me, and it sounds like to you, that's something you just don't skimp on. And I mean, at this point in the game for me, if there's I'm talking like super simple pattern for me, I might not go with a tech editor, but for the most part, I am paying a tech editor all the time because I just want to make sure. And even then, I still have mistakes every now and again. And it's just like, you know what? It's the nature of the beast. We're doing the best we can. So I think that's fantastic that you did that. Now, when you moved to Ontario area,
Yes.
did you have another job? And then so this was your hobby. And then is this now your full-time job?
Okay. So before I had kids, I was a manager in retail and I had done that for over a decade. So when I went on maternity leave in Canada, for the most part, we get a year. So I knew I had a year to figure it out. And I knew that retail wasn't my thing. But it was all I had known. So when we had moved to Ontario, I opened a daycare. And so I had an in-home daycare for a few years before my son went to school. And it was during that time that I started designing and selling patterns. And so it was like a light bulb went off and I figured out what it was I was supposed to be doing. And so this is the only job I've ever had where I never doubted what I wanted to do. And once I was pregnant with my youngest, who's now 3, when we closed down the daycare because I was, having a baby, I decided to just not open it up again. So now this is my full-time job.
Wow. How scary is that? Because there are so many people who envy these as we do as our full-time job, and I think everybody knows it's hard work. I think that they can fully see that, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Kristen Omdahl or Crochet Kim or whoever, like we're all working our tails off.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you first jump in, I mean, you're very excited. It's like, yes, I can do this. I can do this. And it's, great. I still feel that way. But there are those curves that kind of come at you. You're like, whoa, what did I sign up for? So like, tell us a little bit on your end, like how you're like, okay, I'm making this decision. Has it been all daisies and roses going along, or like, what are some things you've learned?
Well, right. It hasn't been all daisies and roses. And I think as the market gets more saturated, so there's, these great new designers popping up all the time. There's, just so much happening because it is such a great lifestyle. And I think a lot of people, get bitten by the same bug we have. So it's figuring out how to stay true to yourself, true to your brand, what your brand is. I think figuring out social media, since everything is really done and the algorithms just change
Preach
so fast.
Oh my God, preach.
You finally figure out a ratio for a picture and then it changes and then it's just like, seriously. And then you're reformatting and you spend so much time doing all of that stuff that you don't really design very much. So the amount of time I sit in my pajamas watching Netflix crocheting is just a joke.
Yeah.
Because all my time is spent on the back end doing all the other stuff.
Oh yeah. Caitlin, you know Caitlin.
I know
Caitlin.
Yeah,
you know Caitlin. But she's always on to me. She's like, hey, I know you're busy. Can we get another design? Hey, I know you're busy. And I'm just like, I sit back, I'm like, I just don't know when. And I'll go through my calendar with her and I'll go through my day of events. And I'm just like, Caitlin, I swear to God, I really want to design another sweater. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to do it. It's really hard because I mean, I know this for both of us, but you're going to start a YouTube channel and do different things, but it's the YouTube channel, it's the blog, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Pinterest, it's Ravelry. And then it's just your website in general, besides just the blog, plus the newsletter. I mean, all of that put together, and thank God I have Caitlin, I have help, but it's so much that the design side really takes a hit, which is a struggle because that's the side that I'm really the strongest at, So it's like,
it's how you got started.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So how do you find that balance?
Oh my gosh. I schedule everything out. I plan everything out months in advance. I was talking about this actually in Instagram a lot lately because now that today was the first day back at school for my kids. And so
congratulations, Mama. You made it through the summer.
Made it. and so I've been spending the past couple of weeks really planning, what's going to happen when I have 6 hours in a row during the day to work again. And so, which days am I going to write those blog posts? Which days am I going to release, my newsletter? And I really have every day planned out. And then my husband is amazing. And he's helping me start. The YouTube channel is actually his idea. And he's into the editing of the videos and, putting everything together. And thank goodness.
You're so lucky.
Because I don't know the first thing. I just don't have like the mental bandwidth to figure out where that would fit in. So I'm very lucky that that's something he's excited about doing.
Yeah.
Scheduling, I vigorously, rigidly schedule with a lot of room for flexibility because my mind does wander. I do have a whole village of squirrels who I'm off on every great idea I see. So there is definitely room, but if I didn't have that calendar that's in front of me all the time on paper, not in a phone. I tried that didn't work. It has to be on paper with Post-it notes and highlighters. And it helps me stay focused so that when I do go off on a tangent, I'm able to bring myself back in a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's what I have to do.
Oh, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to plan a lot more. I don't know if this ever happens to anybody else. So like if I start writing everything down that I have to do, like I get sick to my stomach, like physically ill. And I start to cry and then I just shut down. Like my mind's kind of like, okay, let's go into protective mode. There's no way you can do all this, but it's like, it's not like, oh, this is my list of choice. These are things that have to get done. So one way or another, whether I have to give up sleep to get it done, it's got to get done. Right. Yeah. But I got myself, because speaking of back to school, so when I took my daughter to do the back to school shopping thing, she got one of these thingies here. What is this called? A happy planner. Oh, so I had one that, Caitlin gave me, not one of these. It was a different one. It was like Busy Moms, I think something was, which was cool, but I wasn't using it as much. So when my friend of mine took it, she was like, oh, I could totally use that. I was like, please, I want somebody to use it. So she's used it. So Laura long story short, I bought one of these for Laura. I got one for myself with the intention of doing just what you're doing, because I can't put it in a computer because it doesn't work for me. I had to have paper. I think maybe that's our generation. I think I'm older than you, but still, it's just one of those things. You what?
I don't think you're older than me, are you? I don't think so.
I'm 40. So
I'm 37.
Oh, so yeah, we're right on the same. So yeah, I think it's our generation. Like I still have an actual calendar. Like it's on my wall. It's a friend's calendar. But I totally can relate to that. But the thing is, you're much more organized than I am. And I think I have to do that a little bit more. And I have spreadsheets and I have list of things that I have to do. Like specifically for Red Heart, like they want this video or that video, or, right. This pattern's coming out or this particular yarn's coming out. Sorry guys, I'm trying to make it so that the screen's not switching back and forth. I apologize. But so I'm going to do exactly what you're doing to try and stay on top of stuff, because it's really difficult. Because you also do, like, I only do I do a crochet along and a knit along every year. Mm-hmm. But you do more than that, right?
I monthly.
Yeah.
It's basically just an ongoing perpetual crochet along. So
how in the world do you keep up with that?
With help.
Oh, with help. Gosh.
Stevie kind of runs that group for me for the most part, because I was all over the place. And
Oh,
like we talked about, there's so much going on behind the scenes that it was getting lost. And so as much as I would love to spend so much more time in there because it's so much fun,
mhm.
um, other things were slipping. And so she really kind of took that under her wing. So if it weren't for her, it would be dead in the water, I think. So
Oh gosh.
yeah. And
I
if I don't have things written down like you were mentioning, that's when I get all
yeah.
panicked and can't breathe because I need to see what.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I have like it's like a running list in my head, and
Mhm.
it's like something will get ticked off, and I'm like, okay, what's coming up next? And it's so I'm constantly in this. Okay, what? It's almost like what plate's gonna fall next, and I've got to go take
Yeah,
care of that. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And that's just it's just the way it is. And so I'm hoping now that I'm home, like we talked, I wasn't home from CGOA. Like I've been home like a week since CGOA,
Yeah.
and but I'm home for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So I'm so excited. I want to like get all of these videos done so that way at least they're filmed because then I can edit if I'm on the road.
Right.
Like I have all these great plans and I just know other stuff is gonna fall in the cracks through that, but it is what it is. Like I just have to do it. I don't know, but I don't know how you do a monthly that I mean with help that still like that's still a lot of work. That's still a lot of work.
I I I've learned to give myself a little bit of grace with the whole thing when I was trying to produce a brand new crochet along pattern on top of everything. And I mean, I mostly do garments, so it's not the quickest thing to kind of produce. And so I did get burned out. It it happens.
Yeah.
And so I've learned to just kind of let it go a little bit, that if it's every month and a half instead of every month, that's okay. If something's not ready on time, that's okay too. People do understand as long as, as long as you communicate. I mean, especially in a community group like on Facebook, we all become friends. And so, people genuinely want you to succeed, and they understand that sometimes, your kids are sick, or,
Yeah.
you've got other things to do, and it might be another week or two. And I want to make sure that the patterns I put out are as close to perfect as they can be. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to rush testing. I'm not going to rush, if it comes to the end of it and my testers have noticed that the sleeve is getting too tight at the elbow, well, then I'm going to rework it instead of just kind of
Right.
being okay. And so I guess just learning to be more forgiving with myself in the
Yeah.
process has really
Yeah.
helped my stress level come down. So then I am able to do more because I don't have that cloud hanging over. Because the
Right.
last thing you want is for this type of job, which I started because it was so much fun and I was so passionate about it. The last thing I want to do is get burnt out by it or not
Right.
find that joy anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's
Mhm.
talk about garments real quick because
Sure.
as I mentioned, Caitlin is always asking me to do another sweater. She's like, I
Mhm.
want more sweaters. I want more sweaters. And I'm like, okay,
I love
I will. I
sweaters.
promise.
Love sweaters.
I love sweaters too. I think they're
Mhm.
beautiful. Like I would much rather design a sweater than a toy. Like it's just my
Mhm.
thing. How do you Oh, let's jump back one. How did you learn to do the math to design sweaters? And then how has
Oh.
that transitioned to, when it from the first sweater to today's sweater?
Well, I'm trying to even think what my first sweater was now. So math, well, I went to university for math and science actually. So I was supposed to be a neuroscientist.
What?
It's amazing how things can kind of change. So I was a theater major in high school. I was a neuroscientist in university. I
Wow, our
and
very own Amy Farrah Fowler. Right? Isn't she a neuroscientist or something
yes,
like
yes,
that?
yes. So definitely was awkward too. So I think and so I've always kind of gotten that whole algebraic kind of thing. And gauge. I mean, it's all about gauge. So
Yeah.
once you figure out how many stitches per inch you need in anything, it's so easy to just math it out. And especially using those standards on the Craft Yarn Council. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like anybody can do it, but
Yeah.
as long as you can kind of understand the concept and how things grow and ease. And I mean, once you get those basics down, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Still
So,
takes some figuring, but
right. Now, all right, let's touch on gauge because it's a very important factor and people
yes.
are like, "Oh, I don't get it," or "I don't swatch," or
Mhm.
my favorite is, "Oh, I always crochet to gauge." I'm like, "You
Oh,
don't even what? That's not a thing.
no,
That's
it's
not a
not.
thing." Here, I'm going to switch to my face so that people can see, all right? That's not a thing. You cannot crochet to gauge. Gauge is subjective to what the designer tells you it is. So I could crochet super tight, you could crochet super loose, and you will not crochet to gauge. It's not a thing.
No,
Not a thing.
no.
All right. It's all up to you, Pam. I'll let you talk about gauge.
Well, it's funny you say that because I did write a blog post about gauge and I think it was 9 different crocheters and designers. And all I told them was to make a gauge swatch using Red Heart Soft
Mhm.
and an eye hook. And that's the only instruction I gave them. And then they had to tell me what their gauge was. So I actually was able to put in this post the variance in their gauge. It might only look like a stitch or two, but over the course of, you
Several
know,
stitches. Yep.
100 stitches, it's going to grow inches and inches.
Uh-huh.
And, your child size hat could be a men's large. It's
Yep.
just, you can't, you can't. You're right. You can't.
You can't.
No.
It's not a thing.
It's not a
You
thing.
cannot do that.
No.
No. No. I love that. So speaking of that, sometimes it's not even just the way you make crochet or knit, because it's the same thing for knit,
Mhm.
but the yarn you choose, the fiber of that yarn, and the utensils, the tools.
Mhm.
We recently had Signature Needle Arts on the podcast, and they were talking about, even though some company might give you a hook that's supposed to be a 5 millimeter, they've actually measured it and it's not a 5 millimeter. Like, it's just even so slightly off. But as you
Mhm.
said, over hundreds of stitches, that's a significant difference.
Yes.
So as you're writing out these patterns and you're deciding what yarns you like to use and such,
Mhm.
what are some of your favorite yarns? What tools do you use?
The hook I usually use is the Clover Amour line.
Mhm.
Those are just, I have dozens of them and they're comfortable. They're what I've mostly used over the years. And the yarn, it depends on the season. Well, actually, and even now I'm finding that even as the months get colder, and especially here in Canada, it gets cold.
Mhm.
I'm being more drawn towards the lighter weight yarns and cotton blends. No matter the time of year, I've gotten used to the drape of it because the fiber you use affects the gauge, the tension, the drape, and I just find it easier to layer. I've recently used Chic Sheep for a garment.
Chic Sheep.
Chic
Tell
Sheep.
me more
I don't
about
know if
that
you've heard
yarn.
this stuff, but it's pretty
What
good.
yarn is that?
So a friend sent it over, and so I I don't even know what to say about it. Is I loved using this. I frogged the design. Oh my goodness, half a dozen times. I
Uh-huh.
think it started off as a poncho, and then it was a pullover, and then it was it went back and forth. And I think what kind of goes along with what you were saying too. Just it's not always going to work.
Right.
Whatever you have in mind, and you really have to kind of go with what the designer has suggested because they worked potentially with different yarns for the same design, or tried a specific yarn for design. It did not work.
Uh-huh.
And so this one did not want to be upon my particular poncho that I tried to do. It was just saying no. And so, I finally did design a cardigan using your yarn. And I wore it all morning actually, but it was raining out, so I had to take it off. But it was great. It's beautiful. I really love it. You did a great job.
I like it. And what color did you choose?
I chose velvet. It's this beautiful, like green. It's got a bit of gray in it almost. Like it's very neutral, like we were saying.
Right?
It's just
It's I love it. I love it. I will tell everybody that I told you earlier is velvet is actually one of my favorite colors of the line. And here I'll come to you. And it was actually the last neutral color that I chose because I have grays and I have the white and cream and black and some browns. But I was like, I'm missing something. And velvet was it. I was like, that's the color because it's such a beautiful complement. Whether you put it, I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
Like I put it together with green tea. Like it just looks so great next to it. And
So pretty.
I've also put it together with dragon fruits, the pink. And I mean, it just works. It's just a really great neutral color that's not black, that's not gray. It's really pretty. So
I found it takes on different shades too, depending on the lighting as well.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I don't know if I have mentioned this since the last podcast, but since the last podcast, my yarn is in 100 different Joann stores now. So the top Joann stores of the country, it's available there for purchase. I know it's in Canada too. Is there a place called Len Lyle or something like that? Or I don't know. It's also at Michael's Canada is supposed to be picking it up, but I'm just throwing that out there for people who are listening to the show. Like, I don't like to buy online. Well, it's now hitting the store shelves, so please go and enjoy it. But as you were working with that, it's funny because like when I work with it, I really like to use an H hook, but then I have friends who are like, oh, I really like to use the I hook, and our gauges are different and stuff. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about you working with the yarn, the hook, and then tell us about your design. And is it available? What's the story?
I did use my eye hook for this one. Yep. Yeah, it recommends an H. I used an I. An I is
no. You're not the only one. I know. I think I used an I for the crochet along that I'm getting ready to do. Like you just kind of use whatever it works for you.
Yeah.
But then tell us about the design.
Well, the design is a raglan style top-down cardigan. This is the first time I ever did kind of like a V-neck opening, which I really love. And it uses just simple stitches like most of my designs do. I like to focus more on the construction of it. And I'm just drawn to simple stitches. I love, the classics, the single crochet, half double. And then this one has 9 buttons going down the front. It's got little buttonholes. I'm going to have it in sizes women's extra small to 3X. And it should be available by the end of the month.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm so excited. I mean, I know that Caitlin's been thrilled that you were designing a sweater. She's like, I get to make a sweater. I'm like, yeah, you do. It's pretty cool because she's one of your testers, right? Yes. All right.
That's right.
I was like, I know she does something for you, but I couldn't remember what it was. But
that's right.
It's pretty cool. I love it. And then, so, oh, don't you hate that? I swear, I'm getting old, and like it's like 3 questions come to my head, and then I'm like, okay, pick one, and then all 3 leave. What I was going to say. Oh goodness. I don't know. All right. So the pattern is out later next month. You have a crochet along going on right now. What's the crochet along right now?
Right now it's another cardigan.
It's another cardigan.
It's the Cambridge cardigan. And it's one that I designed right before CGOA, actually. And the fun thing about this cardigan is that I designed it starting out one sleeve cuff and then went continuously to the other one without seaming. So
I love doing that.
It's a lot of fun. I've done a lot of side-to-side cardigans or sweaters before, but I've always added the sleeves on after. And so this one I went from one sleeve to the next. So I really like it. I think it's a really great introduction to people who are intimidated by garments, who are worried about a lot of seaming and sewing and increases, decreases. It's just, if you can single crochet and chain, you can make the Cambridge cardigan.
Very cool. You touched on earlier about, when you start working with as your company and you're working about your brand, your look, your aesthetic, your this, your that. Like you have a very clear aesthetic and it's very neutrals, and your photography is all very similar and very on point. Can you tell us a little bit about your thought process through all of that?
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I did spend a lot of time doing it. I, I guess, trying to think. So when I first started designing, I was influenced by everybody. I felt like I was trying to design for the masses, and I wanted everyone to love what I was doing, and I wanted everyone to, buy my patterns, or I was worried about going viral, or I was worried about, all of those things that you can get caught up in. And I found that I was just basically barely treading water. And I was struggling to find my voice, and I was struggling to figure out where I fit in. And I was getting really caught up in the trends. And, everything is very white and bright, or everything is very, whatever it happened to be that season. And so I really took a step back and tried to think about not so much where I fit in and all of that, but just, taking all of that aside, who did I want to be? What did I want to be known for? What do I love, and what do I buy when I go shopping? And I looked around my home. My home is very, you mentioned neutrals, like very earthy, neutral woods and creams and greens and grays. And if I want to, if I have that in my life, and if I find it very calming, because my brain, like I said, goes 500 miles a minute. And I just found it very soothing and calming, and it helped me relax. And so that's when I started realizing that's what I was drawn to in the yarn stores. And so, yeah, those, bright, fun colors, whatever season it happens to be, even if those are the most popular, trendy things at the moment, that's not who I am, and that's okay. And so I've been working really hard to kind of find my voice and to figure out who I want to be and what I want my brand to represent. And so, yeah, it happens to be those very, neutral, earthy, warm kind of colors, a lot of wood backgrounds, a lot of, you'll see a lot of photos of my house, because I'm very much into interior design. I love, it's part of who I am and part of my design process as well. I do a lot of, pillows and things like that. And I think that's kind of how that started. And so I stopped worrying about what everybody else was doing or what people might want to see from me, and focused more on what I want to show them. And I think that's where it came from, was just being more comfortable and confident in who I am and as a designer.
Brilliant. Well, I think it shines through. Like, you have a really great aesthetic, and it's coming through, and it just, everybody loves it. So you must be doing something right.
Thank you.
It's true. It's true. Well, it's the time of the show that we give away a prize, and we give away a prize to a live listener and to somebody who leaves a comment on the blog later. So do you want to tell them what they are going to have a chance to win live on the podcast today? While, like, literally live right now, guys. So if you're watching right now, it's 10:42 in the morning here in Colorado, wherever it is in your neck of the woods, like literally right now. Before you say anything to them, Pam, what I need you to do, everybody, is if you are listening live right now, go ahead and type "I want to win" in the chat room. Please make sure you have liked this video, smash that like button, and subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel if you haven't. That would be fantastic. And that is sort of your entry ticket for a chance to win. Pam, you want to tell them what they're going to win?
I hope I'm saying the right one.
Okay. This is the, either one you do, it'll work.
Okay. This is for 8 balls of Chic Sheep yarn in the color velvet, as well as the pattern for my cardigan when it's released later this month.
Yes. So you guys are going to get the sweater pattern that she just designed using my yarn, and 8 balls of yarn to make it. So hopefully that's enough to make the size, whatever you're going to make. if not, if you need a couple extra balls, just get a couple extra balls. No big deal.
I used 5.5 to make the size medium sample.
Perfect.
So.
Yeah. So you should be good. You should be good. I think that's a great prize personally. So right now everybody's writing I want to win in the chat room. We will let them continue to write that. Okay. And while they are doing that, I try, just full disclosure, guys, I try really hard to make it so that the camera doesn't go back and forth too much because I know it can make you sick. So I am fully aware of that, just so everybody knows. If you are not listening live, don't worry. There's always a chance for you to win as well. If this is the first time you've ever watched the Year and Thing podcast, welcome. We are so glad you are here, and hopefully you are enjoying yourself today as well. After the show, the podcast, we have show notes for the podcast up over at marleybird.com. So if you go to marleybird.com, click on the podcast menu, drop-down menu, you'll see where it says show notes, or look in the blog and look for show notes. You'll find the show notes for today's show, and you'll see a link to everything that has to do with Pam. So if you want to follow her on social media, check her out on Ravelry, all of that good stuff, it's all available in the show notes. At the bottom of that particular post, you'll see where it says leave a reply or leave a comment, and you will include a keyword in that reply or comment that you are going to leave. And that enters you for a chance to win another prize. So the second prize, the one that we're giving away to people, somebody who leaves a comment, is one winner will receive 5 patterns of their choice from Sincerely Pam. So for the live show today, right now, we're giving away the sweater pattern for the one behind her and 8 balls of Chic Sheep. For the comment winner for on the show notes on the blog, that will be for 5 patterns of their choice from Sincerely Pam. Now, I love your comments on YouTube. Honestly, I really do. I love them. I love them in the Marley's Minions group. I love them on Ravelry, on Instagram, on Pinterest. Well, not Pinterest. Pinterest doesn't really count. But you know what I mean? Like, I love all your comments. But I want you to have a chance to win. And for that to happen, you have to leave your comment on the show notes, because that's where we go to randomly select one winner. We need everything in one place, guys. We can't be jumping around and trying to find a winner. We need them all in one place. So if you want to be entered for a chance to win the 5 patterns from Sincerely Pam, you must leave your comment, including a keyword, over on the show notes. Now, Pam, what is their keyword?
Their keyword is Rigby, Rigby.
And what is Rigby?
Rigby's my puppy. Well, she's 10, so she's...
Awesome. So make sure that you include the keyword Rigby, everybody, when you leave your comment on the show notes. I will put a link to the show notes in the video description box of this particular video. So if you're looking for it, it's right down there in the video description box. And we choose a winner about, I used to say 4 to 6 weeks. I want to say 6 to 8 weeks. Like we give you a long time to be able to go back and catch up on old episodes, because we know life gets in the way. We're people too. We understand. So if you're not listening to this show for like another month, and this is the first time you've heard of it, you still have a chance to go and enter. Okay. It's super easy. And we do this for every show. For example, this is back 6/12/2018. What is 6? That's June. Yeah. So June. So seriously, it's a long time, guys. So back in June, we had Alana Acuna on the podcast, and she was talking about the curse of the boyfriend sweater, and her keyword was alpaca. And the comment winner is Rhonda Baselli, and it said, love listening to your podcast today, and the book sounds fantastic. Would love to win a copy. Hope you have a great day. Alpaca. So there you go. Super easy. Rhonda is going to get an email from us to get her mailing address and phone number, so that way she can get her very own copy of the book. And that's it. She just left her comment on the show notes and just sat back and waited since June to see if she won, or maybe she just put it in yesterday. Who knows? But it's randomly selected, so you can do the same thing here with Pam's giveaway as well. And the keyword is Rigby, Rigby. Super easy. All right. Oh no, what'd you do? No, that's all right. My husband tried to call in earlier, and I was like, decline.
The ringer is off, and
yeah, it happens. It happens. All right. So we have so many people in the chat room like commenting that they want to win. So what I'm going to do is I am going to scroll all the way up to where it started. Wow. It's a lot. Oh my gosh, I'm still scrolling. Okay, so here I am. So I'm just gonna go up and down. Let's talk a little bit. And when you tell me to stop, wherever my cursor is, that will be the luck. Oh, hold on, I moved. That will be the lucky winner. So I'm at the bottom, or I'm going back to the top. All right, here I go again. Okay, you tell me when.
Stop.
Oh, I
Stop.
stopped. Okay. Patty Crochets, Ohio. Patty Crochets, Ohio. Let me write on here at Pat. Can you hear her screaming? You know she's screaming. You are the winner. Okay, so Patty Crochets Ohio is the lucky winner of the free pattern. Do you have a name for it yet?
I don't.
Oh, we need to name it. So it's the sweater that you designed with Chic Sheep and 8 balls of Chic Sheep yarn in the colorway velvet. Let's see, what do you need from Patty in order to get her the pattern? And then I'm guessing Red Heart is sending her the yarn.
I'm sending her the yarn.
Oh, okay, cool. Even better. So you just need mailing address and phone number then, I'm guessing.
Yes, please.
All right. So I'm going to say at Patty, I've got to write this. If I don't do this now, I forget. Patty, you need to email me winner@yarnthingpodcast.com. When you email me, Patty Crochets, Ohio, make sure you put in the subject line what it is you won, so that way we can be sure to get you the lovely prize. And congratulations. Hopefully you love it. All right, so I'm going to scroll down all the way to the bottom, see if she says anything. She hasn't said anything yet, so I don't know. She's probably jumping up and down. She's like Tom Cruise on Oprah, right? Congratulations, everybody. Don't forget, even though you didn't win this lovely prize, there's still a chance to win 5 patterns from Sincerely Pam by putting your comment on the show notes for today's show over at marleybird.com. Use the keyword Rigby. Rigby is your keyword. So much fun. Pam, I had such a great time talking to you. Hopefully you'll come back on the show and show us some fun things that are going on in your world. Even like if it's another crochet along that you're doing, just let us know. Just say, hey, I just want to pop in and say hi. And
sounds great.
I love it. It's so much fun talking to you. I wish you the most success ever, because I think you're a breath of fresh air in this wonderful community. And it's great to have you as a friend, as a colleague, and all of that good stuff.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me on here.
Absolutely. One more time.
My cred just went up.
Let's tell people where they can find your website, follow you on Facebook, Pinterest, all that stuff.
Yes.
Is it just Sincerely Pam everywhere?
It's either, Sincerely Pam on Facebook and my website, sincerelypam.com. And it's by Sincerely Pam on Instagram.
Okay.
My name was taken already. So
yeah, somebody took Marley Bird too. So mine's the Marley Bird.
Oh, that's why.
Right. That's why. Yep. Plus it's a subtle little thing on like the Ohio State University, because my husband loves Michigan. So it's like, I know it's ridiculous, but that's why it's the Marley Bird. Anyways. All right. There you have it. Pam, I love talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And then all of you listeners, thank you so much. Hopefully it didn't jump around too much today. I tried to keep it as steady as possible. And you had a good time learning about Pam. Go check out her website, sincerelypam.com. Don't forget the show notes. The link to that is in the video description box right down there below. Don't forget your keyword, Rigby. Okay. Because I want you to win. I want you to have a chance to win. Quick reminder, the crochet along is going to be starting on September 12th for Red Heart, me and Red Heart. So we are going to do a shawl this time, a crochet shawl. So we're doing the crochet along starting September 12th. There is a discount code for Chic Sheep if you order it from Red Heart Yarns. I will put that link in the video description box as well, a direct link. It's my affiliate link to Red Heart, and I'll tell you what the code is. That way you can get 20% off Chic Sheep if you choose to do that, because that's what we made the shawl out of. And I'm trying to think of what else. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. I think that's it. It's crazy that that's it. All right. Thank you to our sponsors, Craftsy.com, Creative Bug, Erin Lane Bags, Buffalo Wool Company, Stitches.events, and last but not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you next Tuesday. Bye.